All right. Hey, Alexis, good to see you.
Hi, good to see you too. How are you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. So, I wanted to get together for just a couple minutes today because I hear you have a prebiotic. Is that right?
Yes. Yes, we
What's
do.
what- what's that all about?
So, we have launched a prebiotic called Bimuno this year. And Bimuno is a proprietary galactooligosaccharides prebiotic. So, for short, we call it a GOS. And
I
it's
will be
created,
doing that from now on in
yeah,
our
so
discussion as
you can
well.
call it a GOS, you can call it Bimuno. But yeah, we're really excited about it because it has a variety of different health claims spanning health categories that you wouldn't necessarily think are all related to gut health with our biotics, but they are.
Yeah, interesting. So, before we get into some of those health
Mhm.
claims, I'm just curious, what was the road leading up to getting into the prebiotic space?
Oh, well, gut health certainly hasn't stopped trending. But like I said, when we looked at Bimuno and we looked at the clinical research on it, so there are over 110 published research studies on Bimuno, over 20 of which are clinical studies. And not all of these studies are on gut health. So there's a range of research that's been done on Bimuno, showing that it helps support not only GI health, mainly through increasing your good gut bacteria, specifically bifidobacteria, but also strongly helps support immune health, helps us actually cope with stress by reducing cortisol levels, and helps promote and support emotional well-being. So there's this gut-brain axis part. And now they're doing research on athletes and showing some really good results where all of these health categories are playing into individuals that specialize in playing sports and having that focus in their lives. So it's an
Yeah,
exciting
obviously
ingredient.
of particular interest, right? And
Yes, yes.
that's part of the reason why I want to talk to you because with the current quarterly being that we're running on Move Nutrition, it's all about gut health and athletes and kind of that whole emerging field. One of the themes that has run through this is we know there are benefit and there are studies out there, but there needs to be more. So it piqued my interest when I was on the website and I saw all the science behind it. So it makes sense. That's why you're focusing here. And I'm wondering if you could get a little bit more detailed as you talk athletes and gut health and maybe focus in on that area a little bit. What are some of the benefits you're seeing?
Sure, sure. So there's some benefits that just come from Bimuno being a prebiotic and being an ingredient that's easy to take that play well into the athletic space as far as supplements go. So nutrition wise, I'm always seek out your health through your nutrition first. Food is great for
Right.
joy, sustenance, but also for health support. And there are foods that are really rich in prebiotics, like garlic, onions, leeks. I think dandelion greens are up there in like the top five. But again, depending on what sort of athletic endeavors you're going for, perhaps you have a very high protein diet. It might be hard just to get very high prebiotic foods in large enough quantities, to get that sort of GI well-being and good effect in your gut. So Bimuno is actually one of the lowest clinically efficacious prebiotics out
Mm.
there. So we're talking like a little sachet that dissolves beautifully, clear and tasteless into water.
Okay.
So you can have, your prebiotics in your morning coffee. You can put it in your protein shake. You can mix it with your BCAAs. It's completely versatile. So it's this more versatile, easy to consume way to get your prebiotics in. And why do you want prebiotics? It's like you said, we all want to have that good gut health. We're learning more about how the microflora of athletes is different. So, what comes first, putting in the good probiotics, or is the athletic endeavor helping the gut
Right.
microbiota? Nobody can answer anything right now. It's all just, new research, but it's very exciting. But the reason that prebiotics are also great for athletes just in general is that with probiotics, they're live organisms, so stability is always going to be an issue as far as delivery. So those deliveries I mentioned, like going into water, getting BCAAs, having it as a gummy, whatever have you, Probiotics, since they're live organisms, that doesn't work. You put a probiotic into your coffee in the morning, it's all going to boil and die. So
Right.
it doesn't work. But Bimuno is a fiber. It's a very tiny galactooligosacharide, GOS fiber. But it just is easier to consume, and there's no worries about it being alive or not because it's a fiber. It's not this live organism that needs to go through your mouth, go through your stomach, and get to your gut intact to be able to do what you want. So instead, with a prebiotic like Bimuno, it certainly makes its way through your stomach, it gets to your gut, and instead of being a live probiotic, it's feeding all of the live probiotics that are already there. So we know from the clinical studies on Bimuno done multiple times, they always look at the effect that Bimuno had on increasing levels of good bacteria in the gut. And we know that within 7 days, Bimuno boosts bifidobacteria in the gut, which are the microorganisms that you really, really want growing and having a good time in your digestive system, because bifidobacteria do great things for your gut health, for your immune health, and for your emotional and mental health. So we want them to grow, and feeding them Bimuno is a great way to do that.
Yeah, that's excellent. A couple of points there. You
Sure.
mentioned people with high protein diets, and as we all know, the last few years or so, there's been such a focus on protein. So balancing that out and taking something that fits well with that sort of diet to
Mm-hmm.
uh, you know increase all the benefits. I'm thinking of all of the
Right.
different things that as we covered in the quarterly, and as you just mentioned, there are so many benefits to paying attention to your gut health and
Right.
feeding it the right things. So this seems to fit squarely within that, and the fact that the ease of it, right? Like you said, everyone. I can't tell you how many people, when we go out and we shoot videos with athletes or whatever, and it's like everyone makes a morning smoothie and everyone puts something
Yes.
else in it. And there's this whole brew of whatever it is,
Yeah.
protein and other things, BCAAs or whatever. This
Yes.
is easy enough to add to it. So there's a practical side to it as well, which I really love.
Right, right. And so, like, that's the practical side. Why I think that in particular it works well for athletes, just people who are on the go, who want to consume a shake. They don't have, time to sit down and fix themselves a three-course dinner all
Yeah.
the time, especially during
Elite
training
omelet.
season, yeah, during
Yeah.
like training season, on season. So the other aspect of that, like you said, if in particular we're looking at individuals that are consuming high protein diets for whatever reason, have with their athletic endeavors, um, there was a very interesting study that came out this past year that was done using a colonic incubation model. So we're not talking about a clinical study here, but we are talking about examining the effects of Bimuno on 3 healthy adult um, colon microbiota populations.
Okay.
So this study particularly saw that the individuals that were taking Bimuno actually had reduced levels of ammonia and branched short chain fatty acids. And these two particular products or molecules are products of proteolytic fermentation. I know I'm throwing a lot of words out there, but basically, basically, those two, ammonium and branched short chain fatty acids, aren't necessarily what you want to see in your colon, just because that means that protein's there and it's getting consumed by microbiota in your colon.
Hmm.
And there's research out there that goes both ways on how detrimental these can be to your colonic health. But all of what you're hearing out there about, digestive health and colon health and protein, helping support your microbiota is a great way to just circumvent perhaps any concerns, and keep a nice healthy diverse microbiota if you're having a high protein diet. So
Oh, that's great. Well,
yeah.
hey, thanks for catching us up. Can you tell me just, before we go here, as you looked into the biotics market and come out with the product, where do you see this going? Whether it's with Bimuno or the category in general. There's been so much buzz about prebiotics, probiotics, now postbiotics as well over
Mhm.
the last several years. We're learning more and more. Any thoughts there or insights in terms of where we might be headed around the next turn with this?
Sure, sure. I certainly think that we're seeing the continued trend of individuals wanting to have their health benefits in foods. So, combining the functionality of dietary supplements into foods and creating those functional foods, like you said, everybody has their shake and they're putting what have you in it.
Right.
So, I think that, especially with, there are some very stable probiotics. Postbiotics certainly aren't going to be are going to have an easy time with formulation flexibility. With Bimuno being a prebiotic, like I said, it's bringing, so Bimuno is bringing the benefits of having robust populations of bifidobacteria, so good probiotics. So you're feeding your probiotics with Bimuno. You can take Bimuno however you want, and then your good bugs are growing. And those health benefits of having high levels of bifidobacteria, they carry through all populations. So like the latest clinical study that was done on elite rugby players, they saw, less incidence of GI symptoms, less severity. And this was with 168 days of taking Bimuno daily. So it was basically during their training season. But what we found really impressive with it was that it reduced the duration of upper respiratory symptoms by 2 days. So you're talking about, a group of people that has very little downtime for recovery during the
Yeah.
season. They're stressed and they're traveling all the time. So their immune system is, going to be impacted. And so is their GI system with travel
Yeah.
and with stress. So I just think that, with biotics, it's still the tip of the iceberg as far as putting together the right program for the right person. So I think it's great that we have such diversity available for supplementation now, because you can look at who you want to treat, who you want to design a regimen for, see what makes practical sense in their lives. Maybe they can have a capsule of probiotics every day and that doesn't bug
Hmm.
them at all. Maybe they have time to get all of their biotics from their food in live fermented forms. And maybe, it switches. And during off season, they're having a bunch of fermented foods and prebiotic rich foods. But during training season, they are putting in postbiotics. They're putting in Bimuno, into their
Yeah.
Gatorade or whatever electrolyte drink they want, and they're keeping care of their gut that way when they don't have a lot of time to focus. So, I think it's all just going to benefit everybody in the long run.
Yeah, absolutely. Not to mention, if there's a trainer out there and they have, or there's a dietitian out there and they have a client and they're talking about gut health, and you really need to start incorporating something and really paying attention. I think
Yeah.
oftentimes it's an easier gateway to really paying attention and getting after that when it's easy and it's part of your routine, whether that's
Mm-hmm.
putting a little packet of Bimuno in your smoothie or whatever, versus saying,
Right.
okay, here are the 10 fermented foods, or here are the 10 foods that you need to go out and find and eat every day. So
It's like,
it really comes
yeah,
back to that. How can you be healthy, but how can you do that realistically within your lifestyle? So the fact that
exactly.
it's easy to incorporate is a huge plus, I think.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely, definitely, totally agree. Like it's great to get it from food, and when you can, it's great that we have a variety of different biotic supplement choices to help supplement
That's
the
right.
diet
That's right.
to get the effects that you want to, right? Because I mean, I love that we have experiential ingredients in our portfolio like Bimuno. I mean, just to be frank, this was an ingredient that we brought on into our portfolio, and we always, our sales team, we try everything that we sell at Stratum just because we want to
Good.
know
Yeah.
inside and
I
out,
love
right?
this.
This is one of those ingredients where everybody was asking for more and more samples so
Oh,
that
no
they
kidding.
could keep taking it. So it's an experiential product, especially if you're looking for, gut balance and then as well as mood and emotional well-being balance. I'd say it's
Yeah.
very strong, and immune support, speaking as a parent of young children. So I'm always in the
Yeah.
trenches with immunity.
Huge, especially back to
So
school time, right? Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So it's like it's there on the counter for sure, right next
Yeah.
to the
Well, that's
coffee
cool.
machine. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah,
Well, next time
nice.
I want to get together and I want to talk about all the ingredients you guys tried at Stratum and maybe it didn't work out. Maybe you didn't
Oh,
bring on. I want to hear some horror stories. So maybe we can get together and
yeah,
talk about
yeah,
that
right. Yeah, next time we'll
stuff. Yeah,
talk
sure.
about. We talked about the good. Now we'll talk about the bad and the ugly. So,
There's no bad, right?
right, right.
All right. Well, hey, thanks, Alexis. I appreciate you jumping on and talking about it. And we'll look
Yeah,
for more in trade press about Bimuno and how it's being adapted. Thanks.
great, great. Thank you so much.